Dr. Valakush for that introduction and for her leadership on the County Board of Commissioners. I want to thank Judge Shapiro, and I want you to elect him the next Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I want to thank the State Democratic Party Chair, Marcel Groen, for his longtime friendship and support, and all the young people who are here working for Hillary. Nathaniel Loomis talked at the beginning, but I'm grateful to all of you. And Dr. Kevin Pollack, thanks for having us at Montgomery County Community College. If you think about this community college, it really says about all I have to say about this election, which is I have spent most of my adult life trying to help somebody find a job, start a business, get a raise, save a farm, get education and health care for their families, and bring people together so that we'd have less fighting and more progress. And here's what I know. If America worked more like this community college, we'd be way better off. Now think about it. It's open to everybody without regard to race, religion, income, politics, abilities and disabilities, sexual orientation, whether or not you got a tattoo. Right, the whole deal. It's an open, democratic, small D place. It focuses on empowering people through knowledge they can use when they leave here to make a decent living. It's sensitive to the changing opportunities in the economy, so the curriculum will change from term to term, so people are learning something they can actually use to improve their prospects. I was the first American president ever to give a commencement speech at a community college. I did it because I believed it was a metaphor for our future, because I believed what Hillary says in this campaign when she and Tim Kaine run on Stronger Together. And everybody here, just think about this when you wander out today. That slogan is not just about politics, it's about a way of thinking and a way of living. And I really believe that that's what this is about. I've tried to run for her on her behalf when I've gone around on my little bus tours in rural Iowa and rural Ohio, and I'm going to do one in Pennsylvania, in western Pennsylvania. I'm about to go to North Florida and do one. And I've been going, I did a couple stops in New Hampshire yesterday. I just try to tell people why they ought to be for her, why she'd be a good president, what's in it for you and your children and grandchildren, why it will be better for our future. There's been quite enough acid poured down the throat of the American people in the last 15 months to last us for the next 15 years. What we need to think about is what we're going to do. So here's my pitch. Here's where we are in this crazy world of ours. You live in the most interdependent age in human history. Interdependence can be good or bad or both. It means that thanks to information technology and other factors, most of our borders look more like nets than walls most of the time. It means we can become more vulnerable to people who want to break the law or stage episodic acts of terror. It also means if we're good at what we do, everybody wants to be here and contribute here and create jobs here and put other people back to work here and build a whole new future here. I just turned 70. Woo! I'm glad somebody wants to clap about it. But anyway, I was thinking about this campaign. Stronger Together versus Make America Great Again. Now, folks, I'm a 70-year-old white guy that was born in Arkansas at the end of World War II, in the South, where the per capita income was barely half the national average. I know what great again means. It means vote for me, and I will make all your problems go away by giving you the economy you used to have. And oh, by the way, I will move you back up on the social totem pole. Now,
that's a good line.
That's like me saying, I'd like to be 20 again. First off, actually, I would like to be 20 again. Just because I want to see what's going to happen. I think you're on the verge of the greatest period of discovery and shared prosperity in our history if we do the right things. I'm not pessimistic about the future. We have more assets for the future than any country on earth. So I would like to be 20 again, but I would not vote for anyone who promised to make me 20 again. First. Second, since that message is aimed at my socioeconomic group, and I'm the first person in my family ever to go to college. My favorite relatives were my grandfather and great uncle, who had about a 6th grade education and were both whip smart. I hope I'll be the last president ever to live in a farmhouse without indoor plumbing. It makes a great line at a rally in 2016. Trust me, in the wintertime, the outhouse is overrated. And in the summertime, if you live in the South, it's even more overrated because then you got to look for the snakes. Well, why am I telling you this? I understand the campaign on the other side. The worst thing in the world we could do is to promise people who have had a tough time, who haven't had a pay raise in 15 years, who look in the mirror every day and think they can't improve their prospects, that we're going to give them the economy they had yesterday, which can't be done, and that we're going to move them up on the social totem pole at somebody's expense. Hillary wants to tear the social totem pole down so we can all go forward together. Like a community college. Now look, if I were 20 and I got one of those magic lanterns, and a genie came out and said, you can live wherever you want to live 30 years from now, but you got to decide right now. I'd pick the United States in a heartbeat for the following reason. Not because we don't have any problems, but because of our promise. We're the youngest, most diverse workforce in the world. Look around this crowd. Do you think this crowd looked like this 30 years ago? Youth and diversity matter in a global economy. And not just racial, ethnic, and religious diversity, but also diversity of skills and ways of thinking and ways of problem solving. First. Second, we have the best system of higher education and training of any big country in the world. We just need to adopt the plan that Hillary worked out with Senator Bernie Sanders after they ran against each other, which basically says free community college tuition for everybody, free 4-year college tuition to families with an income of $125,000 a year or less, debt-free graduation for everybody else in public and private schools, and for the people who already have debt, first, stop the practice in America where college loans are the only loans you cannot refinance. Let everybody refinance. That is save 20 million people, more than 2,000 apiece. And then give young people the option either to work it off through community service work or to pay it off through a mortgage-like instrument where you can never, even if you borrowed $200,000 to go to medical school, you can never be required to pay more than 10% of your after-tax income a month. Now, you got that. We are energy independent, and our energy is cheaper than most places, and we rank first or second in the world in the ability to generate electricity from the sun, the wind, and other clean resources. Guess who's got the cheapest electricity in America? Iowa. Why? They have the highest percentage in wind. Once you pay for the windmills, it's free. And it makes a big difference in growing manufacturing jobs and starting small businesses and doing all these things. So we're in pretty good shape here. Do we have problems? Yes. There are still too many people who haven't gotten a pay raise since the crash. Yes, another big problem we've got is that small business lending has dropped way off and small business startings have dropped way off. And when I served as president, there was never a single year we weren't in the top 5 countries in the entire world in the startup of small businesses. Hillary wants us to be in the top 5 again and is going to do something to make credit more available and risk-taking more available. As Val said, we've got more than 20 million more people with health insurance. Young people can stay on their parents' policy until 26. Nobody can be denied health care coverage because of a pre-existing condition. Oh, that's the first time in our country we ever did that. That's pretty good. But we still spend more than everybody else does. We still don't insure 100% of the people. There are certain problems that doctors and other people in the health system are having navigating the system. And most important, co-pays, deductibles, and premiums have gone way up, especially for people in medicine, especially for people who are just above the subsidy line. Small business people, you all know some, don't you? Small business people working 60 hours a week, like the guy that does all our carpentry work, who's from Pennsylvania, by the way. And I love this guy. He's got lots of tattoos, he's got a long ponytail. He can bench press me on a cold day. He makes motorcycles for a hobby. And he's our friend. And he said, look, we have 2 problems. He said, I work 60 hours a week so I can make a decent income, so I'm just above the subsidy level. And I pay the people who work for me better than anybody else I know because I don't think it's honorable to run a small business and not give your workers a decent life. But they're just above the subsidy level too. We got to fix that. She's the only person who's actually offered, among other things, a public option. So there's a competitive price for health care everywhere, and to let people 55 and over buy a Medicare, which will not mess up anybody's Medicare because it's so big. If you get a couple of sick people out every 200 or 300, it won't interrupt the rate structure. She's the only person you can vote for who's actually said, this is a problem, let's get small business lending on again. She's the only person you can vote for who said, let's dramatically increase loans and guarantees from the Small Business Administration. Let's cut the costs and paperwork and burden of making small business loans for banks that are in the small business lending business, not in the gambling the future of America from Wall Street on Main Street business. We shouldn't weaken the regulation at the top, we should weaken it at the bottom so new creative businesses can be formed. Just remember, in the last 20 years, including the whole time I was president, 2/3 of our new jobs have come from smaller businesses, and 80% of the small business created jobs are created in the first 5 years of a small business's life. Then they tend to, either sell out to a bigger business or stabilize their market. So this is a job, being president. It matters if you have any ideas that make common sense and can really get something done. I'll give you several other ideas. She believes, Hillary does, we can bring back manufacturing in America if we can keep energy prices down. And we can pay manufacturing workers a lot of money because they're highly productive. The only variations in are materials, which are pretty well constant in their cost, and transportation. America's got the biggest market in the world right here. Why not bring the jobs home. Now, the real problem you see with America today is no longer on Wall Street. It's in corporate suites. You saw it in the Carrier air conditioning case. You all remember this? Carrier Air Conditioning in Indiana making furnaces. It's a unionized operation that made, listen to this, that made, not lost, made $2.9 billion last year. Billion. And the profit margins on the furnaces were going up. So the workers were doing a fine job. And the board of Carrier votes to shut down 2,100 jobs, throw them under the bus, and move to Mexico, allegedly because they'll save more money. And guess what? The union said, no, you won't. That's $65 million a year. We make $2.9 billion. We'll save you the money. Leave the jobs here. They refused to talk to them. Why? Because company after company after company in America is now under the control of activist shareholders. They used to be called corporate raiders, who want their money back in a year and a day. Even though I could fill this beautiful room with economic studies showing that if you run a business to maximize profits, you'll run it for what's good over 5 to 7 years. You'll take care of your workers and your customers and your communities and your shareholders. No, that's not what they wanted. They said, we'll save you the money. They said, no, we want to throw these people under the bus so we can get our lower capital gains rate in a year a day. So Hillary says, we should change the law. You shouldn't be able to get all that money in a year and a day. If you try to move overseas when you're making money, you ought to get to give back every red cent you got from any state, local, or national government. And you shouldn't be able to send the products back here. Not if you're making money. However, we should actually lower taxes on good businesses. So I propose to raise it on the people that are sticking it to the working people of America and their families, and lower the taxes on people who will share their profits fairly with their employees, spend money on training their employees and improving their productivities, and take advantage of whopping tax credits to invest in places like rural Pennsylvania, coal country, Indian country, areas that have been left out and left behind. If they're willing to put people back to work when they haven't had jobs in the month of Sundays, we should lower their taxes. Now, like I said, I've been doing this half my life. I think that will work. And so I want you to vote for Hillary because she got the best economic plan. I want you to vote for her because she's got a plan for an inclusive society, both to deal with the challenges of health care and the burden of college debt, but to expand voting rights and not restrict them. To protect labor rights and not break them. To be sensitive to everybody who lives in this society and not make fun of them. I think that we've got to have an inclusive society. To have the right sort of immigration reform that says, like I met a woman 2 days ago, said that her parents had worked like dogs for 20 years in America and still weren't being given a chance to get citizenship. And they pay taxes. I think there's something rich about a guy who doesn't pay taxes telling people who do pay taxes they shouldn't be able to have a path to citizenship.
Woo! Shots fired! Shots fired!
There's a way to do that without putting them ahead of anybody else in line that stabilizes this country. I'm proud of the fact that Hillary is the first candidate to speak out against discrimination against American Muslims who love freedom and pluralism. You cannot make this a safe country without it. Then the final thing I want to say is she ought to be president because she's the best equipped to deal with the two things that could block all of you from having the best decades we ever had, that could stick us in a slow growth and a hunker down position. over and above making the wrong choice in the presidential election. The two things that we've been living with all along for the last few years are political gridlock in Washington, backed up by unbelievable divisions at home, all over the country. And all these problems around the world, from very slow economic growth. Keep in mind, the rest of the world has 75 to 80% of the world's economy in any given year. Slow growth and political upheaval, and everything from terrorism to the largest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. So what you really have to do is to elect a president who has A, good ideas, and B, has a record of getting things done with Democrats and Republicans in the Congress, and C, has the standing and the understanding to let us grow enough, give us safety enough and space enough to lead the rest of the world away from all this turmoil. And as President Obama said, for that job, she is better qualified than he was or than I was when we ran for president. And that is true. So when you come right down to it, I'm telling you, it's a simple, straightforward decision. I read all that stuff out there on the signs when I was driving up. So you just got to decide what you want. You want answers? She's giving you answers and no one else has. Or would you just prefer to have anger? Do you want to be able to express your resentment and frustrations? There are a lot of people who haven't. They're legitimate and real and totally justified. Or would you rather be empowered to change your future? Because what's driving people nuts today, even more than not ever getting a pay raise, is looking in the mirror every morning and thinking they cannot change the future. People show up at a community college because they think when I walk out of here, I will be the master of my fate. I will be able to change the future for my family, for whoever I work with, for my community. And I'm telling you, folks, that's at the root of a lot of this. If you think nobody cares about you and you've been disrespected, then you're pretty insensitive to other people being disrespected. If you think your work is not valued and nobody looks you in the eye and says, we need you in America.
Come on.
Of all the things Hillary's done this year, I was really proud of it. She, I just do what I'm told now, I like that.
He ends it with, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do
for your country. In the primary, she said, we're not going to win West Virginia, are we? I said,
it's
no.
It's applause.
I said, they're mad at you because you went in the president's cabinet and he wants to do something about climate change, and they've all been convinced that climate change, what their opponents say, it's a Chinese hoax. To put the coal business out of work. And they think, and they don't like me because I agree with them on this. So I carried West Virginia twice. And she said, I want you to go down there and talk to them. And I said, what do you want me to say? And she told me, and I said, that's the right message. So I go down to West Virginia, buried in southern part of the state. There's more demonstrators outside than there are people inside. They're screaming at me. I said, come on, guys, you did real well when I was president. Come inside and scream at me. So we all get in there. And I said, look, I know you're not going to vote for her. And so she still sent me down here to say the following. One is, no matter what you think, President Obama did not cause your current difficulties. Coal employment east of the Mississippi peaked in 1920. Coal production east of the Mississippi peaked in 1950. Then you started losing market share when coal was found in Wyoming that was closer to the surface and cheaper to bring up with lower sulfur content. Then there's a small matter of natural gas, with which you are quite familiar in Pennsylvania, right? Then whenever you think about global warming, the winters kept getting warmer. So countries that didn't care what the sulfur content of American coal was stopped ordering it because it wasn't so cold. So I said, so here's what she told me to tell you. If you think you can do that and have that economy you had 50 years ago, you have at it. Go for whatever you want to do. But if she wins, she's coming back for you. And we're going to make investments here that will give you a chance to make a new beginning. And your children will make a new beginning. You shouldn't have to move to make a living. And it doesn't matter who you vote for, America needs you in the future. And that's the candidate I support. The person, I'm so proud of her, she wanted me to do this. And it was fun. I kind of don't mind being demonstrated against. But I mean, we stop talking to people who disagree with us. It's a terrible mistake. Don't you think we all love our kids? Don't you think we all want the best for our grandkids? Don't you think in our heart of hearts we know it would be better if our country worked like a community college? That's all stronger together means. So I will leave you on an upbeat note here. Hillary and I have a friend from Austin, Texas, who's been our friend for 44 years. And he's the best guy I ever met at just putting everything into one sentence. And leaving you feel enough about it, not down. So I called him the other day and I said, God, there's been a lot of acid poured down people's throat in this campaign. I said, tell me a way to summarize what's at stake that makes people laugh. And he didn't even quit. He said, he didn't take a breath. He said, tell them if you don't want someone to drive a truck off a cliff, do not give them the keys. Here's what I want to say. You ought to give Hillary the keys. Because if you give her the keys, this is the first thing she'll do. First, she'll go to the back of the truck, open it up, and put all Americans on, and then she'll drive it straight up to the top of a new mountain, which is exactly where we need to go together. Thank you, and God